I did not blink. I did not argue. Okay, I said, my voice terrifyingly calm. I accept. My entire professional life fit into a single, battered cardboard box. A few framed certifications, my grandfather's drafting compass, and the black moleskin field journal I had carried for 5 years. I picked up the journal. The leather cover was stained with coffee rings and gypsum dust. My thumb ran over the spine. And suddenly, I was not standing in the air-conditioned trailer anymore. The memory hit me like the smell of wet concrete. Page 42. November 14th. I was sleeping on a stack of drywall in the freezing cold because our security guard had quit, and we could not afford to lose the copper wiring. Dad was at a gala networking. I was shivering under a tarp, guarding his assets. Page 108. March 3rd. A personal check for $3,000. Written from my savings account to the plumbing crew. Dad had forgotten payroll again, and Mike, our foreman, had told me his guys were about to walk. I paid them to keep the lights on. Dad never even asked how the problem was solved. He just assumed magic happened. Page 215. The frantic scrawl of a 3A. M. Panic. Brittany had ordered 5,000 square feet of Italian marble without measuring the load capacity of the subfloor. If we had installed it, the floor would have collapsed during the reception. I spent 3 nights reinforcing the joists myself, bribing the carpenters with pizza and overtime I paid for, just to save her from a lawsuit. She took credit for the sturdy feel of the dance floor. I took a nap in my car. I looked up from the book. Brittany was already standing by my desk, holding a tape measure. She was not looking at me. She was measuring the wall space where my degree from MIT used to hang. I think a feng shui water feature would look perfect here, she said to Dad. Something to improve the energy flow. It feels so stagnant in here. The realization settled in my chest, heavy and final. I was not the heir to this kingdom. I was not even a partner. I was the load-bearing wall. I was the invisible structure they drilled into, hung things on, and ignored, right until the moment they decided the room would look better without that ugly post in the middle. They thought the house stood up because of their beautiful paint and expensive furniture. They were about to learn a very expensive lesson in physics. I dropped the journal into the box. It landed with a heavy thud. Good luck with the energy flow, I said. I taped the box shut, lifted it, and walked out of the trailer. The midday sun hit me, blinding and hot. But for the first time in a decade, the weight on my shoulders was gone. I had not even made it to the gate when Dad blocked my path. He held a clipboard against his chest like a shield. Keys, he said. He did not look me in the eye. He was looking past me, probably calculating how much money he saved by cutting my salary. I dropped my sight keys into his open palm. They jingled, a lonely, metallic sound in the heavy afternoon heat. And this, he said, thrusting the clipboard at me. Standard procedure. Transfer of site supervision. I do not want you claiming you are still running this show when Brittany delivers the project ahead of schedule. I looked at the document. It was a liability waiver. It stated that as of 12:15 p.m., October 14th, I was no longer the architect of record and had absolutely no oversight of the construction. He thought he was stripping me of power. He thought he was protecting the company from my interference. He had no idea he was handing me a bulletproof vest. If I signed this, everything that happened from this minute forward, every cracked tile, every cut corner, every structural failure, was legally, undeniably his. Of course, I said. I uncapped my pen. The ink flowed smooth and black. I signed my name with a flourish, dating it down to the exact minute. All yours, Dad. I handed the clipboard back. He snatched it, satisfied, and turned toward the trailer. I kept walking toward the parking lot. Mike, our foreman, was leaning against a stack of lumber, wiping sweat from his neck. He looked at the box in my arms, then back at the trailer. He knew. I stopped for a second, keeping my voice low. Pack your tools, Mike. He frowned. Lydia? Do not finish the shift, I whispered. And tell the guys to cash their checks today. Before 5 p.m., his eyes widened. He did not ask questions. He just nodded, a sharp, grim jerk of his chin. I made it to my car, threw the box in the passenger seat, and cranked the air conditioning. The air blasted hot, then cool. I did not drive away. Not yet. I opened my laptop and tethered it to my phone. The City Department of Buildings portal loaded in 3 seconds. My profile flashed on the screen. Lydia Morrison, licensed architect. Status: active. I navigated to the Hamilton project. There was a big blue button on the right side of the screen. Withdraw as supervisor. My finger hovered over the trackpad. For 10 years, I had held the roof up. I had reinforced the walls. I had patched the cracks. I had kept them safe from the gravity of their own incompetence. I pressed the button, Status updated. Unsupervised. Alert sent to inspector. I closed the laptop. The screen went black. It was not revenge. It was just physics. I had removed the column. Now, I just had to wait for the roof to fall. The bottle of Pinot Noir breathed on the counter. I poured a glass, the liquid dark and heavy, swirling against the crystal. My apartment was silent. No saws, no shouting, no crisis. It was 4:15 p.m. My phone vibrated against the granite countertop. Dad calling. I took a sip. The wine was rich, with notes of cherry and oak. The phone buzzed again, dancing toward the edge of the counter. I swiped green and put it on speaker. You spiteful little. His voice was distorted, cracking under the weight of his own volume. In the background, I heard the distinctive, confused murmur of 30 men standing around with nothing to do. Hello, Dad. They shut us down, he screamed. The inspector just left. He put a red tag on the gate. Lydia. A red tag. Do you know what that does to the schedule? I assume it stops it, I said, leaning against the counter. You called them, he roared. You walked out of here and called the city just to burn us down. This is sabotage. I will sue you for damages. I have not made a single call, I said. My voice remained steady, a flat line against his jagged spikes of panic. I simply updated my professional status on the city portal, as is required by law. You what? The building code requires a licensed architect of record to maintain active supervision of any commercial project over 3,000 square feet. I recited. The statute number etched into my brain. When I withdrew, the system automatically flagged the site as unsupervised. The stop work order is automatic. Silence on the other end. Then, the heavy breathing of a man realizing he had just stepped onto a landmine he planted himself. You need to come back, he growled. Right now. Fix this. I cannot, I said. I am suspended. Remember? Lydia. Stop playing games. The Hamiltons are coming for a walkthrough on Friday. Then I suggest you hire a new architect, I said. Although, the vetting process usually takes 6 weeks, and the review board meets on Tuesdays. Lydia, good luck with the energy flow, Dad. I tapped the red icon. The silence rushed back into the room, sweeter than the wine. 3 weeks of silence is a long time in the construction business. It is expensive, too. By my calculation, the daily fines for the stop work order had just crossed the $1 million mark. I was not visiting the site. I did not have to. I had Mike. He called me at 11:30 at night on a Tuesday. His voice sounded shaking, tinny against the background noise of a revving engine. I am out, Lydia, he said. I pulled the boys. We are done. What happened? I asked, sitting up in the dark. She ordered us to cut the column, Mike said. The main structural support in the center of the ballroom. She said Mrs. Hamilton is threatening to pull the contract if she does not see an open concept by morning. Please tell me you said no. I told her that column is the only thing holding up the HVAC unit on the roof, Mike spat. I told her if we cut it, the shear strength drops to 0. She screamed at me, said I was stuck in the past just like you. So I packed up. I am not going to prison for manslaughter because your sister wants a better view. Good man, Mike. Lydia. She did not stop. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? She sent an intern to the Home Depot parking lot with a wad of petty cash, Mike whispered. She hired a crew of day laborers. Unlicensed. No insurance. They are in there right now with sledgehammers. They are taking the column out. I hung up. I opened Instagram. Brittany was manic. She needed to prove to Mrs. Hamilton that the work was getting done, that the evil city inspectors had not stopped her genius. The notification popped up at 2:14 a.m. A single photo. The ballroom, brightly lit by work lights. The floor was covered in concrete dust and rubble. In the center of the room, where the massive, load-bearing steel column used to be, there was now just empty, terrifying space. The ceiling sagged slightly in the photo, a detail only an engineer would notice. The caption read, Vision realized. The ugly post is gone. Open concept achieved. No limits. Hashtag design genius. Hashtag Hamilton wedding. Hashtag bye bye Lydia. She had just posted a confession to a crime on the internet. I looked at the photo on my screen. The comments were already rolling in. So open. Stunning. Brave choice. They were cheering for a room that was physically impossible. I did not comment. I did not text Brittany to warn her that the ceiling joists were currently screaming under the redistributed load. I took a screenshot. Then I opened a new email. To the City Department of Buildings. Enforcement Division. Carbon copy to Hamiltonian Indemnity Group. Risk Management Department. Subject. Urgent. Structural alteration at 412 Oak Street. Permit violation. I attached 2 files. File A, the original, stamped blueprints showing the W12 by 53 steel column as a critical load-bearing element. File B, Brittany's Instagram post, time-stamped 10 minutes ago, showing the column gone. I hit send. It was not a snitch. It was a mandatory report. As a licensed professional, if I saw a safety hazard and didn't report it, I could lose my license too. The collapse did not happen all at once. It happened in a terrifying, domino-style cascade. Domino 1, the city. At 7 a.m., the emergency response team cut the lock on the gate. They did not bring a clipboard this time. They brought yellow tape. They evacuated the night crew and slapped an emergency vacate order on the front door. The building was not just stopped. It was condemned. Domino 2, the bank. Commercial loans have a good standing clause. When the city condemned the property, the bank's algorithm flagged the asset as distressed. By noon, they had triggered the loan acceleration clause. They demanded full repayment of the $2.5 million construction loan. Immediately. Domino 3, the kill shot. This was the one Dad never saw coming. At 4 p.m., the courier arrived at Dad's house. He did not bring a check. He brought a letter from the insurance carrier. Reference claim number 9092. Investigation findings. Most people think insurance covers stupidity. It does not. Insurance covers accidents. It covers storms. It covers fires. It does not cover willful negligence and intentional violation of building codes. Because Brittany had deliberately removed a structural element without a permit, and because she had documented her own crime on social media, the policy was void. Dad was not just looking at a failed project. He was personally liable for the $4.2 million breach of contract lawsuit the Hamiltons filed an hour later. The estate, the cars, the business, the retirement fund, it was all gone. Gravity had finally collected its debt. The knock on my door was weak. It sounded like a question rather than a demand. I checked the peephole. Marcus stood in the hallway of my apartment complex. He looked 10 years older than the man who had screamed at me 3 weeks ago. His suit was wrinkled. His shoulders were slumped, crushed under the weight of a $4 million liability. I opened the door, but I kept the security chain sliding into its slot. The steel link pulled tight, creating a 3-inch gap between his world and mine. "Lydia," he whispered. He held up a crumpled document. "Please. The bank. If you just sign a retroactive approval, saying you authorized the change before you left, the insurance might reconsider. We can save the house." I looked at him. I looked at the man who had traded my competence for my sister's vanity. He was asking me to commit fraud to save him from the consequences of his own favoritism. "I cannot sign off on physics, Dad," I said softly. "We are family," he choked out. "You removed the support," I said. "Gravity did the rest." I pushed the door shut. The latch clicked. It was the loudest, most final sound I had ever heard. People ask me if I regret it. They ask how I could watch my childhood home get auctioned off to strangers. They wonder if the victory tastes bitter. Let me give you the receipts. The bankruptcy court finalized the liquidation of Morrison Architecture on a Tuesday. The Hamilton estate seizure covered about 60% of the judgment. Dad's personal assets, the house, the cars, the vacation cabin, covered the rest. He lives in a 1-bedroom rental now. Brittany moved to Arizona to escape her own debt collectors. She sells essential oils on Facebook and blames toxic employees for her failure. As for me, I work for a commercial developer who pays me exactly what I am worth. I leave at 5 p.m. I sleep through the night. But the real ending is not the lawsuit. It is what happened inside my head. 6 months after the collapse, I received a voicemail. It was Dad. "Lydia, it is Thanksgiving. Your mother would have wanted us together. I am willing to forgive you if you come home." I listened to the message. I listened to the manipulation, the refusal to take accountability, the audacity to offer me forgiveness for his crime. I pressed delete. I blocked the number. That evening, I had dinner with Mike and his family. We laughed. We ate. No one screamed. No one demanded I fix their mistakes. That is when I finally understood the architecture of a toxic family. If you are listening to this, and you feel like the weight of your family's happiness is resting entirely on your shoulders, I need you to listen to these 3 rules. I learned them in the rubble, so you do not have to. Rule number 1. Competence is a threat to incompetence. I used to think if I just worked harder, if I just saved them one more time, they would finally respect me. I was wrong. Narcissists do not want a partner. They want a prop. By being the one who always fixed things, I was not earning their love. I was exposing their inadequacy. Every time I saved Brittany, I reminded Dad that his golden child was flawed. They did not hate me because I failed. They hated me because I worked. Rule number 2. The price of peace is everything. You cannot negotiate with terrorists, even if they share your DNA. I had to be willing to lose everything. The inheritance, the family name, the approval, to gain my freedom. It felt like dying. But once the smoke cleared, I realized I had not lost a family. I had lost an anchor that was dragging me to the bottom of the ocean. Rule number 3. Gravity always wins. You can bribe inspectors. You can bully daughters. You can fake success on Instagram. But you cannot bribe physics. If you build a life on lies and nepotism, the roof will fall. It is not your job to stand under it and catch the debris. So, look at your life. Look at the people demanding your loyalty while disrespecting your boundaries. Are you the pillar holding up a rotting roof? Step aside. Let it fall. And on the empty lot that remains, build something that belongs only to you.